All right, good morning. We are here at Wayside Park. This park is typically used for individuals going out boating and fishing. Clearly closed, as you can see the docks behind me way underwater. This particular area of Seminole County in Sanford is going to continue to rise. We're seeing this in the larger tributaries, the Little Econ, the Big Econ, and here along the St. Johns River. As other areas of the county start to lower and they start to drain, they move this way, and we continue to see increased flooding in these areas. We are watching these areas very closely to make sure that we can respond to them effectively and rescue anyone that's needing rescue. We are still seeing unprecedented flooding in many parts of the community. Lincoln Heights, Spring Oaks neighborhood along the Little Wekiva River in Altamont Springs, Mockingbird Lane and Gee Creek in Winter Springs, Lake Moultrie in Altamont Springs, which is a closed basin. These areas, if they can, will start to move to the larger tributaries and then eventually out to the Atlantic Ocean. Because of that, of course, we have fire and sheriff's office, and you're going to hear from those folks in just a moment. Vehicles out doing rescues and helping people as necessary. We also have National Guard units here in the county assisting law enforcement and fire rescue with these rescues. Because of the increase in water at the Little and Big Econ rivers, the city of Oviedo has reopened a Sandbag location today at the Evans Street Public Works facility. That'll be open today from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tomorrow, we will be opening up 3 different Sandbag locations. The first is at Fire Station, the old Geneva Fire Station, which is at 217 2nd Street in Geneva. We will also be opening a Sandbag location here at Wayside Park along the St. Johns River in Sanford. And the city of Altamont Springs will be opening a Sandbag location at Westmont Park. All of those Sandbag locations will open at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Seminole County Water Utilities is continuing to move generators from lift station to pump down those lift stations and move to the next one so that we can continue the flow of that to the water treatment facility. The city of Winter Springs is there's certain addresses that are currently out of water. They are attempting to fix those water main breaks as quickly as possible so that pressure can be re-energized to the line and those individuals can have water out of their faucets. For the exact addresses of those places without water, you can go to our website at prepareseminole.org. All of the city of Winter Springs is currently under precautionary boil water notice. We are working with the individuals that are without power to get them water through the Emergency Operations Center. We have 75 traffic signals out right now here in Seminole County. Please treat these intersections as 4-way stops. We don't want anyone to lose a life in a T-bone crash in one of these intersections. We have done what we can to energize as many as possible using generators, but there are still some that are fully dark, so please be very careful. Our partners at Duke and FPL continue to re-energize lines. We are now down to 95,000 customers, down from over 160,000 customers without power at the height of the storm. So they are restoring power quite quickly to our residents here in the county. Please be patient as these line crews, and thank these line crews as they come through. As many of them are not from the state of Florida, they are here to assist us and get our power back on. We are continuing the consolidation of emergency shelters. Today, we will go down to 1 general population pet-friendly shelter, Lyman High School, and we will continue to demobilize special needs shelters. Bentley Elementary School, which is a special needs shelter that is pet-friendly, will be the pet-friendly special needs shelter for individuals to go to at this time. We are starting to see a small increase in shelters as people are rescued, as water continues to rise in those large tributaries, as I mentioned a few moments ago. But we are working with each individual client to try to get them assistance. Over 1,200 homes here in Seminole County have been affected by flooding or damage to the homes. Some of those completely destroyed. Our damage assessment teams are in the field right now, continuing the damage assessment process so that federal assistance can come in to help those in need. We still need your help. You can collect damage if you're at home, and you can report that damage. Again, at our website, prepareseminole.org, if you go to the damage assessment tab, there's a web-friendly or a phone-friendly way where you can type in your information and even include a picture. We want to thank those that have already provided the damage assessment numbers, and because of that, FEMA has opened the portal for individuals that require assistance to self-register. That number is 1-800-621-FEMA. Again, 1-800-621-FEMA, or you can go to FEMA.gov. Again, FEMA.gov if you require assistance if your home has been damaged. We are estimating over 1 million cubic yards of debris. That's an increase from yesterday. Our debris assessment crews went out. We thought it may be a little bit less, but it does look like it actually is going to be 11 cubic yards of debris here in Seminole County. Just as a reminder, and we like to give pictorial reminders, if you will, so that you can imagine what 1 million cubic yards of debris is. That is 11 spaceship Earths at the Epcot Center. And so many of us have seen pictures or have been there at Epcot under that incredible structure. We have to pick up 11 of those. So it will take weeks and months to pick up debris. Regular trash collection will begin tomorrow. As you sort your debris, please make sure that when you sort your debris, do not put it around a fire hydrant. We've seen this in previous events. Do not put it directly under power lines, and please avoid sidewalks where children will eventually start to go to school and meet their buses. So please avoid those three locations. Sort the trash out, yard trash in one area, and other trash, home debris, things like that, in another section. This will help our crews move faster. If everything is combined or it's on a fire hydrant or under an electrical line, it just slows the process down. And instead of weeks of us picking up debris, it becomes months of us picking up debris. So please help us, help your neighbor in doing this sorting. Again, the central transfer station in the landfill will open tomorrow at 7:30, and those will be open from 7:30 to 5:30. We in Seminole County have an amazing team and doing our best to respond to historic flooding. I've talked to many residents, and they've said many times, we've never seen this. We in First Response have never seen this. This is a lifetime event, a 500-year flood, if you will. So we've never seen this as well. We're doing our best to respond as quickly and effectively as possible. And I want to thank our partners, which will speak here in just a moment, the fire chief and the sheriff and their incredible teams for the partnership we have in the Emergency Operations Center and the emergency response community. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Fire Chief Kinley from the Seminole County Fire Department.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning. Very nice to be out here in this unusual Florida fall-like weather. Our dispatch has had a high volume of calls yesterday, nearly 600 calls. The majority of those related to mechanical fire alarms, downed power lines, and public assists. Since the beginning of the storm, we've had only 3 carbon monoxide incidents. Thank you. Luckily, all of these residents had CO2 detectors in their house, and we avoided those tragic events. Please continue to be vigilant and do not have your generators near your home or in unventilated areas. Other hazards. Unplug, turn off any of your appliances such as stoves that may have been on prior to the power going out. We just this morning had a fire in the Oviedo area where the power got turned back on, the stove turned on, and the microwave that was placed on top of that stove caught on fire. We mitigated that incident, and nobody was hurt. With a lot of debris in the area, people are cleaning up and helping their neighbors. If you don't know how to use a chainsaw, this is not the time to learn. And if you know how to operate a chainsaw, make sure that you're doing it safely. Also, make sure you stay hydrated. We get a lot of dehydration incidents when people are out working in their yards after a storm. That's very avoidable. Yesterday's estimate on rescuing those in flooded areas, we rescued, along with our partners in the Sheriff's Office and the National Guard, more than 150 people, and also between 30 and 40 animals. We're happy to get the media any of that footage for those rescues. We also worked with flood rescue operations in the Econ River Basin in Oviedo yesterday. Since around 5:30 a.m., we responded to 12 to 13 homes and saved another 40 people and 12 pets. And we're still responding to calls in these areas. Again, thank you to our partnership with the U.S. National Guard, the Sheriff's Office. Thank you, as you're amazing partners, and they've enabled us to substantially increase the ability to rescue these people quickly. We're getting drone footage in order to conduct damage assessments with EM and determine access points for us. We will be happy to share some of that footage with you all. The most important thing we'd like to stress is that even though the rain has stopped, we now have the challenge of preparing for more flooding, specifically in the Geneva area. Much of the water and rain around the state is going to flow through the St. Johns River, and it's going to come right through Central Florida and into Seminole County. These are going to produce more historic flooding. With that said, we are staging a unified commands post with the Sheriff's Office in the Geneva area to prepare for this historic flooding. We're working on logistics on the exact location and apparatus that we'll set up there, and we'll have that for you later. Just on another note, our Urban Search and Rescue Task Force 4 team has been deployed in Pine Island near Punta Gorda. The Seminole County Fire Department has 14 deployed members and is joining our colleagues in Orange County, Lake County, Osceola County, and many other city municipalities in the Central Florida area. We don't know how long they're going to be deployed there, and we appreciate them helping our South Florida neighbors in their need. Continue to stay safe and vigilant, and remember, just because there's no rain doesn't mean that it's all clear. At the fire department, we're ready, and when you need us, and we will come. Now here's Sheriff Dennis Lima.
Thank you so much, Chief Alan Harris, for your team. You know, I can't underscore the importance of collaboration in times like this. And prior to this storm, I felt like we were an incredibly divided country and areas, and you can't work your way through crisis like this unless you establish and honor true, meaningful relationships. So I want to, again, thank the collaboration with Alan Harris and his staff over at the county, our fire partners, all of our municipal police chiefs and our city leaders. I mean, there's twice a day we're on calls with all of these individuals, and it feels really good to be a part of something united. Secondly, and I've said this nearly every one of our media briefs, is I'm incredibly impressed and proud of our citizens. You know, our job in crisis like this is to inform people of dangers and hazards and give you, the citizen, the information that you need to prepare yourself properly, and you've done that. From the beginning, you self-regulated, you got off the roadways when you knew that that was in the best interest of public safety. Many of you closed your businesses for the benefit of your employees and to restrict the movement out on the streets, and we have benefited as a result of that. Some of you are even closed today when it looks like a sunny, bright day. The conditions out there on the roads are still dangerous. To that end, we still see people driving through traffic signals that are not working properly. Either you're forgetful or you're not aware of what the rules are. Again, treat those intersections as if they were four-way stops. Stop, yield to whatever person is at that intersection prior to you, and then move on. I also want to encourage you to limit distractions. On a normal business day, people have their radio playing, they're on their cell phones, they're doing whatever is legally available. Please put that away, especially now, because it is very easy to come up on an intersection, especially at nighttime, that you are less familiar with, and without that bright light shining in your eyes, it's easy just to blow right through that thing. So be cautious and be prepared. The flooding. You may be out on the roadway today and say, you know what, I was able to travel from point A to point B with absolutely no problem at all. You've heard this narrative that the water continues to rise along the St. Johns River. There is flooding as water is moving from other areas that have water that's really not supposed to be there. And the road could be flooded out the next day or tomorrow, even up to 5 or 6 days from now. So especially at nighttime where it's incredibly difficult to see that, slow your vehicle down. It is very dangerous. And remember, we have a no-wake ordinance here in Seminole County for boats or for cars. Slow your car down, roll through there. It's not only better for your vehicle, it's better for public safety and not doing additional damages to the homes and residents that are in the area. Another bit of good news is from the onset of this, there have been no arrests directly related to the storm. And in early stages of this, you hear that there's people that will capitalize and try to take advantage of storm-related opportunities. To my knowledge and to the knowledge of our partnering municipalities, there has been no arrest directly associated to the storm conditions, and that is nothing short of remarkable. In addition to that, and I know that medical examiner will give later reports of just natural death and natural causes, to my awareness, there has been no reports of death directly related to the storm as of now, and there are no missing persons that were working in Seminole County. All pretty significant reports considering what we were faced with. Our deputies have been working closely with our city partners and the fire department to make sure that we're doing rescue relief. And I've heard some of the most remarkable stories and witnessed them myself. People, wanting to evacuate their homes, but they can't get their interior doors open. We had fire rescue people, National Guard workers, city police officers, and sheriff's deputies literally carrying babies out that are passed either through a window. Just yesterday, they had to move a man that was not able to get out of his door and actually lift him and perform a rescue out of the bedroom window. So these are remarkable examples of the heroic efforts that is being done by our first responders. And again, the people who are being rescued are the most genuine people when they proclaim how thankful they are. I mean, they, in many cases, have lost their entire home, all of their family heirlooms, but when they come out and they're riding in the back of those five-ton trucks and they're being rescued on our boats, they are so appreciative as they're walked out of there with the safety of their family and their pets. So, again, remarkable work being done in that regard. I will remind people to be mindful about what you call 911 on. And that's important because as normal commerce starts to get back and running, that means additional burden on police offices and the sheriff's office, meaning that if many of our businesses are closed, we're less likely to get reports of calls for service. That allows us to focus almost exclusive attention on rescue efforts. As we get back and stores start to open again, as people start to populate in different areas, we will then be offsetting our rescue efforts with our normal calls for service in business. So again, be mindful, self-regulate like you've done so far, and I'm sure that will not be a problem whatsoever. Two things in terms of scams. The Florida Attorney General has put together a scam hotline. This is largely for people who are doing price gouging. If you see people marking up the price of gas, we haven't had any reports of those locally here that I'm aware of, but if you see that hotline is 1-966 no scam. All right, so you want to get that, or go to the Florida Attorney General website if you have a report that you would like to make. Next is typically when this happens, we see people who are unlicensed contractors going around and trying to capitalize on the storm to sell you things. They want to fix your roof, they want to do things, so I will encourage you to use great caution when it comes to only dealing with licensed contractors, because they may not be out there today, but trust me, they're coming. There'll be people knocking on your door, going in your neighborhoods trying to solicit work. If you ever have any questions about that whatsoever, please contact the sheriff's office or the local police department. We would be happy to send somebody out there and evaluate the situation to make sure that they are bona fide and licensed and supposed to be within that area. And then lastly, as we round up, and you hear us talk about this a lot, as we see flooding, unprecedented flooding, a 500-year flood, in areas, particularly the Oviedo area is now with the Little Econ is now causing significant problems. We're doing evacuations out there. You've got the Little Wekiva that we've been working. You've been talking a lot about since that. We've got areas and pockets of Winter Springs where a lot of citizens have either chosen to stay or have been evacuated with that 100+ number that the fire chief explained to you. But as these areas continue to present problems, and sometimes those water levels will go down, the water along the St. Johns River will continue to increase. This is why we're moving that forward command post out into the Geneva area like we have in previous years during previous storms. The Sandbag distribution areas that will be out there. We will also offset the labor with inmates that are incarcerated. These are inmates that have a less custodial responsibility. Typically, we call them inmate workers or trustees. They will be out there helping to fill sandbags because that is a very laborious process. We want to do whatever we can, and these inmates that are there are more than happy to pitch in, lend a hand, and that will kind of help offset the labor associated with getting these bags out there in the communities. The long and short is we're here to serve you with any need whatsoever. There's nothing wrong with calling 911, talking to our dispatchers, calling the non-emergency line. We are there with you throughout this storm to make sure that we can help you and your family rebuild to the best of our ability. And again, I'm incredibly grateful because I've seen such generosity with neighbors helping neighbors, and I think that that's a big part of this message as well. Help your fellow neighbor, and let's get this through this thing together.
Thank you, Sheriff. Are there any questions?
Hey, Alan, I want to ask you about, we've been hearing about St. John's and the Little Wekiva, and then yesterday the Econ River has become a big thing. What do we know about the dams along the river? Did those dams give way at all, causing more water to rush than people expected, or was there any issues with dams along there?
No, not that we've found. Of course, some of those are underwater, and we have just basically dikes here, and we don't have full dams in the county, but none of those that we know of. But it is important to note that the water is so high right now, we can't see some of those things. We can't see roadways. So if we can't see roadways, we don't know if there's a washout ourselves. We know of quite a few bridges that have kind of given way. Those are blocked off. We know of some water on roadways, but we can't see them, so those are blocked off as well. Specifically in the Winter Springs community, we have a couple bridges that are an issue right now. So until we can get down there to see, we don't really know what's happening, but it doesn't really matter because the water's over them anyways. With a 500-year flood, no dike was going to really stop that.
And I wanted to ask about Winter Springs. They seem to have a number of issues between no water, boiling water, no electricity for most of the Winter Springs area. What is going on in that area? Why are they the only ones under a boil water alert?
From what I've heard, they have quite a few water main breaks, so they're fixing those. They've actually even brought in contractors. I spoke with the deputy city manager this morning. They brought in contractors from out of state, even to help them hopefully pressurize the lines. Sometimes when you pressurize the lines, you find another area of a problem. Sometimes those areas, of course, are underwater, so that extends the issue because we can't get to it as quickly as we'd like to. That's what's happening in that particular community, and that's why we're going to open up the bottled water site specifically for those homes that don't have water. So we're going to target those homes if they don't have water coming out of their faucet. Obviously, if you have water coming out of your faucet, you can boil it. But for those individuals, they can't even boil the water because there's nothing coming out of the faucet. Yes?
Yeah, the Little Wekiva River, especially around the Royal, I believe it's a Spring Oaks neighborhood. Do you expect that to continue to rise? And my second question is, after every historic large rain event, we saw that during Charlie, Gene, and we also saw that during Irma, and now with Ian. We consistently see these homes getting not just flooded out, but people just being trapped in their homes. Is there any effort by the county to, I know about a decade ago there was talk of the county and working together with Altamont and the federal government in buying out those homes. I mean, it seems like after every large rain event, there is this consistent problem. What's what's going to be done moving forward? Is there
Okay.
planning ahead?
It's a great question. So there's quite a few things that are going on. First, there's a mitigation project right now on the Wekiva River. So that's going to clear out some of the sediment that's occurred there over the years. So that will help the flow of the water a little bit better. When homes continue to flood over and over again, we work with the homeowner to provide flood mitigation. So that flood mitigation can include a couple things. It can include an elevation project, or it can include a purchase demolition project. So that would be for like severe repetitive loss. So each home would have to be assessed to see what the loss was to determine what eligible mitigation project they could meet. But we meet with all of those individuals, and we've done quite a few of these projects over the years in various neighborhoods, elevation projects, as well as demolition projects. Anyone that's traveled across the 417, you can see that group of houses there. There was an elevation project there that took place just not too long ago. You could actually see the house being elevated, that was one of the mitigation projects. So that'd be a visual that those that travel on the 417 could have seen regularly.
Is that water going to continue to rise from the Little Wekiva in the spring?
I mean, Little Wekiva it's a basin. It's a river. Now, day to day, anyone that knows the Little Wekiva River, it kind of looks like a creek. I mean, it's not really a river, but it is called a river for a reason because there is a riverbed. Most of those homes there, of course, were built before we had LIDAR, before we had the technology to identify what exactly was the floodplain. And now we know where the floodplain is because of LIDAR, because of GPS and new technology that we have. So those homes, again, will be contacted. We provide mitigation assistance. We provide assistance with grants and things like that through the federal government, through FEMA. And this will be very similar to the projects we've done in the past like that.
Does it also hamper abilities to sort of buy everybody out of their homes because some people don't want to leave their homes or like their homes even though it floods?
Certainly. I mean, this is a public-private partnership, so that's private land. They own that land. So, eventually insurance costs and things like that for them may become too exorbitant, and they may wish to do this, so that we always make it eligible to them. It would be, of course, them that would say yes to that type of agreement.
Everybody that we've run into today in Seminole County, all the homeowners, the first thing they ask us is, when is our power going to be turned back on? Do you have any timeline for people? I know it's very dependent on what neighborhood they live in, but...
Yeah, so I don't want to speak specifically for Duke and FPL, but I know that they have crews here. I know they have crews from out of state here. I know that they, yesterday we had some great talks with those organizations. They're sitting in the Emergency Operations Center. They do their priority list first. Of course, we want hospitals on shore power. They need to be on shore power so that they can provide operations. They don't go into, except for emergency operations, they don't provide any other operations unless there's shore power and backup power, because we don't want anything to go wrong in an operating room. Obviously, emergency operations is different. So we want them first. We want our 911 center on shore power. We want those critical facilities like acute care nursing homes where devices are being run to keep people alive. So they're working down those priority lists, and people will benefit from that. Obviously, if a hospital grid comes on, it could mean a neighborhood come on as well. So that's why we've seen almost half of the customers that were without power yesterday are on power today. So the number was 160,000 yesterday. We're at about 70 or 80,000, I think I said. Put the sheet away, but about 70 or 80,000 now. So almost a half of the customers have caught them. So, and then they work from obviously larger areas to smaller areas, and this is consistent with any utility. So if we can get an entire neighborhood going, they're going to work on that first, and then they're going to work down to the street level, and then they're going to work down to the individual home level. So that's how the process works, just about with every utility. But they are working with us, and they've got line people out today. Yesterday they couldn't put a lot of bucket trucks up because, those gusts, we were out in it, anyone from the media as well as us, those gusts, 30, 40 miles an hour, you need about 10 miles an hour for the bucket truck to go up safely. And now they were doing it at much higher levels, but when those gusts started to creep up, they had to drop back down. So it obviously took a lot longer than today. Today's going to be a lot easier. I think a lot of homes are going to be re-energized today.
Alan, since some of the schools are used as shelters, do you expect, you're not the school district, but are you in talks with the district and will school be back open for all students on Monday?
Our goal today is to consolidate down to 2 shelters, which I mentioned, one general population and then 1 special needs shelter. The goal tomorrow is to move those shelters to a secondary shelter location. We've identified that location. It's a church in Longwood. I don't want to announce it until they're open and fully operational, but wonderful team there, wonderful partnership that we have with that organization. Once they open, then the school shelters will close. Saturday, all day long, is get schools back in session. So we want to open by Monday. I'm looking at our school board representative. Hopefully Monday. They'll make the announcement officially, but hopefully by Monday. But partnerships, obviously, our school board rep is here, so yeah.
You may have addressed this already, but if a person has like large trees blocking the roadway or anything in their neighborhood, what should they do?
You want to talk about that?
With the smaller trees, if they're experienced with chainsaws and they want to clear their roadway, they could feel free to do that. Otherwise, emergency management will arrange putting it in through their system at Prepare Seminole for the companies to come out and move those large trees. But if you do have a large tree, get it in, call it in, and we can get out there and move it.
Any other questions? All right, thank you all for being today. I want to thank my interpreter.